So, I just saw Deadpool 2. And of all the superhero movies this year, rather it be stuff like Venom, Aquaman, Black Panther, and Infinity War, I was going to love regardless. This is kind of so far the one I'm most split on. I mean, those two might be polarizing, but I feel like after having seen this thing, and I will forever refer to it as this thing, I kind of feel like they will pale in comparison to the iffiness of this film. Also, Ant-Man the Wasp will probably kick ass. So first up, spoilers. The film's been out for 5 days. I'm pretty certain most people who care about spoilers have seen it, and those who don't care, don't care. But you've been warned. So, yeah, Deadpool 2, first up, how did I like the first one? I love the first Deadpool. It was very funny, very action-packed, characters were good, story was pretty standard, but it was done in an interesting way, and I thought the characters really pulled it through, and it was an all-around pretty great superhero film. So, going into this one, I had heard all the issues of reshoots, some script problems. The loss of Tim Miller very early on was very sort of nerve-wracking, but the trailers were funny and the marketing campaign was still great, so I'm sure the film will be great. Then the first few minutes go by. Actually, the first few minutes are hilarious. This film has an amazing opening. The first joke with the Wolverine nod, that's fantastic. The sort of montage of Deadpool just kicking ass is amazing. And then Vanessa dies. Then the movie kind of goes in this really weird turn of, and I don't think the film ever quite recovers from this. It doesn't seem to really know where being a comedy and just being Deadpool's straightforward arc seems to begin and end. There's a lot of all over the place jaggedness to it, and losing Vanessa sucks because I loved her in the first movie. They had amazing chemistry. I would have loved to have seen where that relationship could have gone, and it's just like she's gone. And everything just gets played as straight up drama with her. And yes, in the first film, a lot of it, the Vanessa stuff was played straight, and Wade Wilson being tortured and mutating was played straight, but they sort of added up to a very sort of funny setup, that being Wade Wilson's own sense of vanity and his arrogance and being full of himself, and also since it was a much simpler, just kind of revenge plot, I think it sort of allowed for that more sort of fluidness with how the jokes led into the serious stuff. But here, it is sad to see Vanessa go, and I feel like it just sort of kind of comes, and then the movie just sort of goes, and it's got these 5 different plots going on. And I'm sorry, just because of you make fun of how abrupt and weird it was with a Bond parody opening, it doesn't change the fact that it was still abrupt and weird. Like, you have Deadpool going into spiraling sadness and depression, and you feel for this guy because of how good their chemistry was, and then it just goes right back into normal dick jokes. Like, and I feel like this tonal dissonance just stays throughout the film, and it kind of really hurts it. Which sucks because I think the comedy and action on their own are a big step up. Now, I don't necessarily think any one fight in this movie is better than the whole sort of highway scene in the first film, but every action scene is extremely strong and powerful with a lot of great elements happening and a lot of great things going on with it, great action. I think a lot of the meta humor especially, I think, works insanely well. The whole Juggernaut entrance, the way the whole movie completely shatters as Deadpool lists the comic book appearances of the character, is absolutely fantastic and maybe the best fourth wall joke ever. Like, that is legitimately great. So when you can't really keep your story beats moving correctly because you just introduced this weird element, you just kind of do the same thing with, like, it's the same scene every time Vanessa is brought up, and it gets old really fast. It just sort of creates a big problem. Well, that sort of leads into other things. How's Cable? kind of weirdly the same. When Josh Brolin as the character is on screen, he's fantastic. He looks scary, he looks big, he looks like he'd kill anything, and he's a lot of fun when he's there. He's not there a lot. He's maybe not even in half the movie. He just kind of comes in and out, and even the way he comes into this film feels really random, and it comes at a random point, and it almost sort of feels like maybe without Tim Miller guiding things in the way he did in the first film, doing his job as a director, the writers maybe sort of went off the rails a bit. That's kind of what it feels like. I've always been the type of person, I believe film is a collaborative effort. It takes a lot of people to make a film working, but at the end of the day, the head of that collaborative effort is the director. It is his job to steer the team into one goal and one single, well, direction. And it kind of feels like the guy who directed this movie, he's one of the dudes who did John Wick, even though his action is amazing. I feel like maybe he didn't really get everyone focused, and I can't help but feel that that's sort of what happened here. And just some of the other little things in this. Russell the Kid from Hunt for the Wilder People. I think this kid is a really good actor, and he does have some really good scenes. He felt very one note, and yeah, he's an abuse victim. I understand why he's angry all the time. I still think maybe you could have played him a little more sympathetic, but I feel like, again, he needed more screen time instead of just being Deadpool's reluctant sidekick for half the film. Juggernaut is perfect. I have no problem with that at all. That was great. Colossus and Megasonic Teenage Warhead are used exactly the same as they are in the first movie. Like, holy shit, they did the exact same thing. They probably even have the same amount of screen time, if not less. Like, literally, I'm watching the third act of this movie, and I'm like, it is literally repeating the third act of the last movie. Yeah, it's bigger, and there's more stuff going on, and I admit, watching Deadpool and team kill and torture a bunch of people who harm children is a lot more satisfying than watching generic British baddie from the last movie. I did like him in the last movie, it's just, he's generic British baddie. Yeah, it's the same act. Colossus and Negasonic Teenage Warhead are used in virtually the same way. Negasonic Teenage Warhead's girlfriend, I enjoyed her. I thought it was really cool. They didn't really make fun of the fact that they're gay. I think it's sort of a really clever joke. That's a joke where it's the same joke every time, but it for some weird reason worked for me. I thought it was really cool, the sort of how Wade and her just have this weird instant getting along. I don't know what that is, but it's funny, and you can get mileage out of that because you see how he is with everyone else. So to just have this random person he doesn't know who he just weirdly is nice to, that's funny. X-Force, they obviously, if you've seen the movie, you know that they are barely in it. It's one scene, and the trailer completely trolled us. That is fucking amazing. That was great. Do you see my problem here? And Domino, I have absolutely no problems at all with Domino. She was fantastic. Give her a movie. Don't give James Franco Multiply Man or whatever the fuck, and give up on Gambit. Give me a Domino movie. Even if Disney gets Deadpool, give me a fucking Domino movie right now. Oh, and that X-Men cameo is genius. But do you see what I mean? There's so much about this movie that is hilarious and awesome, and it comes from that strong writing core team. But at the same time, I do feel like that same thing that allows this movie to work also hurts it. Like, again, I just feel like there's no real direction here. Yes, Ryan Reynolds is still perfect as Deadpool, but he helped craft the way the character is presented. He's part of that writing team. He's probably part of the problem. Yeah, no, and every actor is fine. They legitimately are. Effects are great. Although Juggernaut looked a little goofy, like he was a PlayStation 1 character, but maybe that's part of the joke. And also the post-credit scenes are amazing. I think they probably should have bringing Vanessa back to life, make that the last scene of the movie, instead of doing the last scene basically the same as the last scene of the last movie. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Deadpool 2, I'm probably going to watch it again, and I'll probably enjoy it, maybe a lot more when I have my expectations more handled, kind of like how I was with Force Awakens back when that first came out. I can't help but wonder if you liked the first Deadpool, if you loved it, you might be like me and a bit underwhelmed by this. But I also feel like if you were underwhelmed by the first one, you might love this new one, because that's sort of what I'm seeing from the reaction online. It's kind of like one suits the other person, and in a lot of ways I think that's kind of the Deadpool character. Some people like the more wackier stuff he's in, some people like maybe the more sort of grounded stuff where the humor is more sort of in-between type thing. Pick your poison, and tell me what you thought below in the comment section below. Give me your thoughts on Deadpool 2. Did you like it? What were your favorite jokes? What worked for you? What didn't work? Because there seems to be a lot that worked and didn't work for people. And as always, click to like, click to subscribe, and we are straight on to Ant-Man and the Wasp.